Hey there, sports fans, everyone, watchers, listeners, both of you. Welcome to the 10 Yards Back YouTube series, or maybe you're listening on Spotify, now available in both video or audio only on Spotify. We're also on Twitter. Follow us on there and prompt me to do something with that Twitter. X, sorry. All right, so today on this channel, I'm going to do a round review of the Betfred Superleague Round 8 Rivals Round. The Rivals Round, everyone. Yeah, it's just been. So this is how the fixtures looked. We had Wakefield versus Castleford opening the weekend. Then the classics, the Hull KRFC derby, the Wigan and St Helens disputable derby. If you live in Hull, you'll say that's not a real derby, but we all know who wins that one. Leeds, Huddersfield, Leigh Warrington, Catalans, Salford. A couple of really good matches there. Obviously, the mouth-watering derbies, always good. Leeds, Huddersfield, all right, I probably could have missed that one. Leigh Warrington, those teams are the rising ships at the minute, aren't they? They're kind of like vying for that position. And Catalans, Salford, this is the second time in 2 weeks that Catalans have played Salford in Catalans, so I kind of feel for that Salford squad, to be honest. Not only are they falling apart, but they just have to keep going to bloody France to get beaten. All right, I mean, the round itself was great. The attendance on the gate was upwards of 86,080, I believe. If you ever wondered who the real derby was, the Wigan Saints game brought 24,000 fans, which is about 28% of that 86. Hull KRFC not far behind, 21,000. I think, to be honest, they were both sellouts. So I don't think it's really fair to, compete on that one. If they both sold out, they're both winning. So that's great. So the round itself was great. This is how I predicted the score going into the round. The score's going into the round. I thought Wakefield would kind of put Cass to bed. Hull KR would batter Hull FC. I was saying Wigan was going to be very closely called, but that Wigan would basically win on kicks. Leeds Huddersfield, we all knew how that was going to happen. I thought that Warrington would just pip Leigh to the post, and Catalans would smash Salford. So this is how it went. To be honest, I only got one actual prediction, like outcome prediction wrong, and that was the Leigh Warrington one. Leigh really did they teach Warrington a lesson? I don't know. It felt like there was a much bigger gap there than just the 4 points that they had. Either way, my points predictions were crap, but that's how the games turned out. Total 219 points scored, 39 tries, 72% of those are converted. That's 28 conversions, which, in rugby union terms, that's poor. In rugby league terms, I think that's okay. So the actual stats from the round are sort of unremarkable, except a couple of firsts in round 8, the Rivals Round of the Betfred Superleague. We had our first red card. Cade Cust showed the red 15 minutes or so into the game there, the Hull FC, the Hull derby, the real derby. And we also, this is a weird one, round 8 is the first round this year since, it's the second round that there's been a home team advantage. Every other round, except for round 3, more away teams have won than home teams. Round 8, the Rivals Round, 5 home teams won, which is the biggest home team advantage of the season, for whatever that means. All right, so they're the scores on the door. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to focus on one game in particular, and I'm going to be a bit of a Monday morning quarterback, Monday morning coach here, and go through what I think the difference between the two teams was, where I think the game was won and lost, and a couple of highlights, I guess, just in case you didn't watch it. This is sort of designed for, if you missed the whole weekend, at least you can pretend you saw this game. So the game I'm going to focus on is this one, the highest attended game of the weekend. I don't even think it was the most hotly contested, to be honest. I think for me the most exciting point of the weekend was when Castleford in the 79th minute or whatever it was kicked a goal, and I thought it went over. I thought we had drop goal tennis again, but we didn't. It didn't go over. So St Helens Wigan, the game I'm going to focus on here. So this is how we went into the round. Going into the round, Wigan in third, Saints in fourth. We're on 10 points apiece, separated by points difference. You know, very, very similar teams going into it. The only real place you can separate the two is with the try to kick ratio, which doesn't really mean anything here because both teams have basically got new kickers. You know, Harry Smith hasn't been kicking all season. You know, Kieran was kicking at first, and now he's taken over. Whitby was kicking for Saints on Friday rather than Percival. So, you know, that stat doesn't really mean anything. All intents and purposes, this is a third versus fourth place game. And, you know, that's how it turned out, 24-14. Now, I was at this game, and I had the worst seats in the house. No lounge for me this week, everyone. I was slumming it with the common man. And it just felt big. Of course, it's a football stadium. It's a big stadium. It's got 25,000 seats. So it's a big place, but the atmosphere was thick. It was full. It was tense. And the players kind of let you know that this is more than just a league game, all right? And the way they did that really was, you know, it's straight from the off. There was massive hits, big line chases, but also both sides were given penalties, kickable penalties within the first 10 minutes, I think, or maybe the first 15 minutes, and both sides kicked them. Now, most Super League games, you're not really kicking those penalties. You're trying to run them in. You're trying to get the excitement going. You're trying to build the excitement. Well, this game didn't need any excitement. It just needed points, and both teams let you know that they wanted points. All right. Now, I think, to be honest, you know, we just saw the stats there where there were two very even sides coming into the thing, and I actually think that the sides were more even than the scoreline suggests. I'm actually going to go ahead and say, and I'm perfectly willing to say that this is a bit biased against Wigan. I actually think that Saints did more stuff than Wigan. They're actually more game than Wigan. They were more up for it. Both sides were a bit more conservative than they would normally be, but Saints were actually bringing it. You know, more meters, more possession. Unfortunately, they had just so many errors, just more errors than anyone at the weekend. I don't know that to be true, but they just, I mean, for example, you know, Walmsley knocks on twice in 6 minutes. Batchelor then knocks on twice in 10 minutes. In between that, you've got Knoll. So there was a period there between, I think it was about 15 minutes and half an hour, where every 5 minutes on the 5 minutes, so 15, 20, 25, 30, four times, they knocked on the 5 minutes. And it sucks all of the meat out of your attack. You know, they couldn't do anything because they couldn't keep hold of the ball. So they were doing quite well. I mean, 3 of those knock-ons were actually on the try line. One of them might have even been spilled over the try line. So, you know, real good work in attack, good getting up there, doing all the hard stuff, and then just throwing it away. So that was really the story of of Saints' game. They weren't hopeless. I mean, on around 18 minutes, George Whitby does an amazing kick at the end there. It just turns slightly, and Wakefield knocks on. When do you see him mess up? Not that often. So they were forcing errors as well, but they were by far making the most errors. I stopped counting in the second half, to be honest, because the first half was just too many. You could see the writing on the wall, because in the first half, Wigan 2.5 times and came up with 2 tries and 1 chalked off. And the chalk off really was just like a wrong place, wrong time. It was an obstruction call where Tyler Dupree was just in the wrong place. Harry Smith's try chalked off there. At half time, this is just an example of how it went. At half time, Kyle Amor goes on. He's a commentator. He's got to say something. He goes, "Oh," in his, everything that Kyle Amor says is like an emergency. "Oh, we're gonna just pipping them here." So we're gonna just pipping them here, just edging them, and in fact they weren't. Saints had 30% more possession. Comparatively. More field position, more play the balls in the opponent's half, more play the balls in the opponent's 20. They just had so many more errors that it just seemed like Saints hadn't done anything at all. It seemed like they couldn't keep hold of the ball because they couldn't put anything together. All right, so I'm gonna go through the tries now. So the first try, Wakefield on 20. The first awarded try, Wakefield on 29 minutes, converted. The story of this one is that this was a classic Wigan doing a Wigan. Basically, Bevan French gets the ball. He's out on that right wing where he lives, basically. Bevan French gets the ball, and it looks like, Tristan Saylor's ready for him. He's about to tackle him. He knows Bevan French is dangerous. I'm going to tackle him whether or not. But then you just kind of see Tristan Saylor shit himself and just start running in the other direction. Because if you pay attention, as soon as French gets the ball, French can't see him, by the way. Field is way behind. Field just starts to run as fast as he can to under the sticks. So it's something, I don't know, straight out of the top drawer, as they say. French just knew, right, I'm here. It's 29 minutes. It's probably about time for one of these, isn't it? And Field also thought, yes, it's about time for one of them. So without communicating, without looking at each other, no cues whatsoever that I could perceive, French just kicks the ball to no one. But luckily, the second fastest man in Super League, Wakefield, had already started to run, picked it up, scored the try, and you can see him there looking very pleased with himself. Try number 2 was one of them where I think, different officials on the day, maybe the guy had sausages for breakfast that day, he didn't have his Weetabix, would have awarded this differently. They didn't. It was fine. Basically, a kick goes across field, probably from Smith, I don't know. French gets a hand to it. It's very flat. I don't know whether it's a knock-on or not. I think if it had gone up as a no try, it would have been a no try. It went up as a try, so it was a try. And that's, in my old age, I'm becoming more and more fine with that. I don't need the video ref to ref the game. All right? So it goes backwards, flatwards, wherever, off French, off this kick. Miskey mops it up and puts it down. 33 minutes. That's just leading to half time. That was not converted, but was still a 12-0 lead there because of those intention penalties I mentioned earlier. All right. Try 3 really just came out of nothing. This is Wakefield again. 47 minutes. This one was converted. It was just asleep. This was a point in the game when both teams were down to 12. So Moses and Bai had gone off 38 minutes. Sam Walter's gone off, I think, at like 42, 43 minutes. So both teams down to 12 men, but I just don't think Wigan care about being down 12 men. It doesn't matter to them. We've seen that time and time again. Last year during the red card derbies, Wigan were regularly down to 12, 11 men at one point in a Challenge Cup game, I think, and still pulled it off. So Jayfield, he literally just sneaks through. He just did, there was no one there. He just snuck through. 47 minutes, and look at him looking very pleased with himself there. Now this isn't a try, but this is. I'm pointing this out here because I think the game at this point could have gotten very boring. We're 18-0, yeah, 18-2. So they were making sure they weren't nilled. 18-2 at this point with Saints. So if they didn't do something, it was going to be very boring. We're an hour in, no points, just knock-ons. And the turning point for Saints, I think, that when this game became really exciting was when the youngest player on the pitch and one of the more experienced players on the pitch, so George Whitby, Darrell Clark, just pair up at 62 minutes and do a lovely dummy pass to the right and then a lovely pass to the left that was just a little bit forwards for the referee's liking. And so that was chalked off, but Clark was in there. And I think then that's when Saints thought, right, okay, we can actually do this now, because the next try that comes just 2 minutes later that was converted amazingly. Look where that try was scored, and this 18-year-old kid converted it. It was just sheer will from Murphy. We had everyone involved in this. It was basically 9-6-7-4 setting this try up, and then Lewis Murphy. I think the thing here, and it's something that Saints need to remember, bear in mind, the reason that this try was scored is because you've got a winger on the wing. And that seems obvious to everyone, but Saints don't really do that. They've got John Bennison on the other wing, he wears number 5, but I think as a kid he was a halfback, he played fullback a couple of times. He's not a wing. He's not used to that territory game. He's not used to having the touchline's just right there, but that's okay. I know where it is, and so he'll tend to run on the inside, and that ruins the flow of play because you've just come inside to where all the defenders are. Lewis Murphy here backs himself. French and Field were both in attendance to defend. I think Murphy here got really lucky that French got to him first, not Field. Field's the guy in the background you see blurry there because he's running so fast. French got a hand to him. Out of the two, French just isn't quite the defender that Field is. Field is a very good defensive fullback. All right, try 5 here in this game of 6 tries. Iggy Parsi on 73 minutes. I think Parsi should have gone off for an HIA, head injury assessment at this point, because for some reason, 73 minutes into a game where he's had a good innings, he just finds himself acting halfback. He finds himself fishing the ball out of the ruck, and I don't think he really knew what to do with it, because when in his life before has he ever found himself in that position? Imagine you're a kid and Iggy Parsi shows up and tries to play the ball. You'd be like, "Fuck off! You're bowling this one in. You ain't taking it from acting half." But he did. He scooped up the ball when I can't remember who was playing it. It doesn't matter, and just bowled himself over the line. It was an absolutely individual effort, because I don't think anyone, Parsi included, knew what the fuck was going on at this point. But he got there. He got over the line, as you can see. Pretty pleased with himself after that. But that's 73 minutes converted. So now we got a game on our hands, ladies and gentlemen. Now we are at, what is it now? It's 18-14 now. So next try wins. And someone was always going to try. The game wasn't over at 18-14. You could just tell. You could just tell that this one had not gone to bed just yet. And Saints put up a really good effort. There's a real good effort at 75 minutes, but Wigan defence just won't let them through. Now this at 78 minutes, either it was a Sailor knock on, or French ripped it out of his hands. Either way, it doesn't matter, because basically what happened here, the image I'm showing is basically the field as this try was scored. And as you can see, there is only one blue shirt in the picture, really, that can do anything. And I think that's Sailor, because he's the one who's just knocked on. Everyone at this point was in attack mode. And that's why I knew you could just feel that both teams now had just gone, fuck it. We're going to be the next one to score. We just have to score. We just have to get there first. We don't have to stop them getting there. We just have to make sure that we get there first. And that's what happened. Abbas Miski, again, 78 minutes, put the game to bed. But I wasn't really, it was a really good end to the game. Just both teams left everything on the field. So that was that game. In my round review, understand that was basically a review of one match. But let's have a look at the table as we enter and leave the round. So the first column there is how we entered the round, and the second column is where we are now. It was a good round, really, because if you look at what's happened there, Hull FC dropping to 4th from 2nd, Saints dropping to 5th from 4th, Wigan promoted to 2nd, Leigh promoted to 3rd. It's really, that round has really sort of shook up that top 6. Warrington got to be pretty miffed at that. They're all the way down to 9 from 7, so they're actually out of the top 8 now, which I don't really know what the top 8 means, because that's not the playoffs, is it? Top 6 is the playoffs, but everyone talks about top 8 anyway. So it's really, that round has really shook up the table. Hopefully we get another round like it, but I think it's because we were in that lucky position of having those two derbies being 1v2, 3v4. It was just a good. It set itself up nicely, didn't it? Now we look at the top points scorers. Amazingly, I was amazed at this when I put this table together. Mark Percival's still up there with 56 points. He's the top point scorer, Mark Percival, and he hasn't kicked any kicks for the last 3-4 weeks. I think the difference there is that you can see Adam Kieran and Harry Smith both there in 3rd and 5th. I think if there had just been one Wigan kicker throughout the season, obviously they would have been top point scorer there as well. But we got pretty good representation there from all over. Saints, Wigan, Hull KR, Leeds, Artem Morg. I think you can probably chalk him up as a Hull KR player now, can't you? Because that's where he is. Even Castleford and Wakefield getting in there as well. Try scorers. It's no surprise Jay Field is storming the place after round 8. We got Mikey Lewis, Jake Wardle coming up. Jake Wardle's really having a good year for tries, I think. He's always been there or thereabouts, but this year he's really picked it up. Sailor, Robertson, Gildart, Ashton. I think Matty Ashton's got a lot more to say this season. He's gonna jump up to the top there, I think, at some point. And then we got a load of people on 5 tries, leaving round 8. All right, guys. So that was they're the numbers, the stats, my opinions on round 8. So I hope you enjoyed my little video. I'm trying something a little bit different today with the editing, which is why I have the mouse. But if you liked it, but you didn't like seeing my face, head over to Spotify, catch the audio-only version without the blurry images of tries. Head over to Twitter, X, 10 yards back. Obviously, like and subscribe to the video here as well. All right, guys. Thanks for watching, listening. Let me come in your ears, and I'll see you again.